from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the ChannelEye Rupavahini Corporation. We're ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I'm ChannelEye Rupavahini. Joining with me today is Vidushini Sadeshkumar. Sri Lanka records a breathtaking victory by beating Asian champions.
And he makes his ground. Sri Lanka wins.
Japan pledges to consolidate ties with Sri Lanka. The United States assistance for the local debt restructuring process. The Ministry of Health says it rejects a statement of the UNICEF organization regarding local child malnutrition. The hydropower electricity generation at the maximum capacity. Cabinet approval for payment of the delayed pension gratuity of government employees. UK appoints first Sri Lankan origin cabinet minister. Meat promotional advertisements have been banned in Haarlem city of the Netherlands. On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. The prospects of the Sri Lankan cricket team entering to the finals of the Asia Cricket Cup tournament have been strengthened following the team's victory over the formidable Indian team in a closely contested encounter yesterday. The Indian team was leading the T20 rankings.
Top story.
Lot of runs, but they are packing in.
Captain of the Sri Lankan team, Dashan Chanaka, after winning the toss, has invited the Indian team to bat first. The Sri Lankan bowlers were able to capture the wickets of two frontline batsmen for 13 runs. The first wicket fell when KL Rahul was dismissed for 6 runs, facing a delivery of Mahesh Theekshana. New paceman Dilshan Madhushankar was able to return Virat Kohli to the pavilion without a score. Thereafter, Rohit Sharma and Suryakumar Yadav have maintained a 9-7 run partnership. It was Chamika Karunaratne who has been successful in taking the wicket of captain Rohit Sharma when he was at 72. Dashan Chanaka, displaying the characteristics of a leader, took the wickets of two middle-order batsmen of the Indian team. The Indian innings was restricted to 173 runs of loss of 8 wickets at the end of the 20 overs. Dilshan Madhushankar has also captured 3 wickets. The Sri Lankan opening pair of batsmen Kusal Mendis and Pathum Nishanka gave a good start to the team by building a 9-7 run partnership. The first wicket was fallen when Pathum Nishanka was out for 52 runs. Kusal Mendis scored a hard-hitting 57 runs, which included 3 sixes and 4 boundaries. However, the Indian bowlers were able to capture for Sri Lankan wickets within 13 runs. However, Bhanuka Rajapaksa and Dashan Chanaka have brought the Sri Lankan team on the path of victory. Dashan Chanaka remained unbeaten with 33 runs. His score has included 4 boundaries and a sixer. Bhanuka Rajapaksa was also not out for 25 runs. The Sri Lankan has clinched victory with 1 ball to spare in the final over. Accordingly, Sri Lanka has been able to lead the bonus point chart in the Super 4 round. The Indian hopes of entering the finals of the final of Asia Cup tournament has been dashed with a defeat, and the final match of the Super 4 round between Sri Lanka and Pakistan is scheduled to be conducted in Dubai next Friday.
Yes, it's as Ashdeep comes in, and that's a beautiful delivery. Pant misses, Ashdeep misses. They go back for the second, and he makes his ground. Sri Lanka win. Has taken Sri Lanka home with 1 ball to spare.
And what a way to get the winning runs. All 3 stumps.
Top story.
And meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says a vibrant diplomatic relationship between Japan and Sri Lanka has been built due to the taking decisions without hesitation amid strong objections from the local leftist camp.
The president has made these remarks participating in a ceremony to commemorate the 71st anniversary of the address of late President J.R. Jayawardena at the San Francisco conference. Well, the event was held at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation premises last evening.
The then Minister of Finance of Sri Lanka, J.R. Jayawardena, had requested the world community at the San Francisco Peace Conference on the 6th of September 1951 to pardon Japan and to accept the notion of international solidarity. The proposal presented by the former President J.R. Jayawardena, quoting the Nahi Vere Verani Buddhist stanza, was accepted by the member countries.
Be exacted from Japan. We do not intend to do so. That hatred ceases not by hatred, but by love. We extend to Japan a hand of friendship and trust that with the closing of this chapter in the history of man, the last page of which we write today, and with the beginning of the new one, first page of which we dictate tomorrow, our people and ours may march together to enjoy plenty of human life in peace and prosperity.
The 71st commemoration ceremony has been jointly organized by the Japanese Embassy in Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, the National Youth Services Council and the Sri Jayawardena Hospital. A special discussion between the Japanese Ambassador Misakoshi Hideki and President Ranil Wickremesinghe has also taken place. The envoy has stated that they would commit themselves for the re-emergence of the golden era of bilateral diplomatic relations between the two countries.
For Japanese people, there was nothing more important than this peace conference at the time. When Japan's destiny was dependent on this conference, the President, J.R. Jayawardena, was master of politics, but I think he was also a master of diplomacy. Well, he made such a convincing speech that at the time, divided international community was united, guided by his very convincing speech. J.R. Jayawardena, a young politician from a country which was little known to Japanese at the time, he made such an important role in this conference. So after the conference, he was the most known Sri Lankan for all the Japanese.
No, as His Excellency the Ambassador said, this is a very old relationship. After the war was over and the San Francisco Peace Treaty was signed, unlike in the case of Germany, originally when all four powers signed, the Soviet Union not willing to sign it. So when you went to San Francisco, there has to be an Asian country that was going to second it. Philippines are not willing to do it. India also didn't want to do it. And actually Sri Lanka stepped forward. Both President Jayawardena, who was the minister, and also Mr. D.S. Senanayake, who was the prime minister. So he went ahead and he made this brilliant speech. But that was not the end of it. Then we had to, in Parliament, we had to pass the peace treaty as an act of Parliament. And the whole opposition, mainly the left opposition, was against it. They said there should be no peace treaty with Japan. Japan started the war. And if Japan was going to, if there was going to be a peace treaty, it is really, they should have Russia in it. So you find Dr. N.M. Pera, Peter Kenneman, Sundaralingam, all speaking. And it was Mr. D.S. Senanayake who defended it. This actually was the last speech he made on 29th of February because Parliament didn't meet, and he fell off the horse and he died. And Sri Lanka stood firm. So that friendship has continued between Sri Lanka and Japan.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan extends his deepest regards to the Sri Lanka Donation Society in recognition of their distinguished service in promoting mutual understanding between Japan and Sri Lanka, contributing to the friendship and goodwill between Japan and other nations.
The ceremony was highlighted with several cultural features and was attended by several members of the family of late President J.R. Jayawardena.
What do you think about today's event, the significance of it, of celebrating 71 years of what your grandfather did?
I think it's a very good event, and I'm happy that he's being remembered, and a detailed look at what happened and the background is being discussed.
I consider him more of a friend than grandfather. Yeah, I'm happy he was able to use words and shed some light between different countries that may be having different agendas. And maybe we should look towards cooperating on the new frontier that is ahead, where as we move down the periodic table of elements, we come to different elements that are more important these days than the old elements we've been used to.
The President, upon conclusion of the event, has placed a note in the commemoration book. Thereafter, the President was engaged in a cordial conversation with the artists of the National Youth Services Council who have presented the cultural features.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has sent a message of congratulations to the newly elected Prime Minister and the leader of the Conservative Party of the United Kingdom, Mrs. Elizabeth Truss.
The Sri Lankan President, in his special message of best wishes, has pointed out that Sri Lanka and the UK is bound by a long-term friendship and partnership. President Wickremesinghe has also stated that the political maturity and experiences of Ms. Truss, who has served for many years in the cabinet ministries, would enable to dutifully fulfill her mandate in the capacity of Prime Minister. The President has also stated that it is also hoped to further consolidate the ties with the UK, where the new platform partnership scheme the Great Britain is implementing with the countries of the Commonwealth. He has also commended the decision to include Sri Lanka as a beneficiary in the trade program the United Kingdom has recently declared with the developing countries. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his congratulatory message, has also expressed the hope to further strengthen the relationship with the United Kingdom, and this instance when Sri Lanka is preparing to commemorate its 75th independence in February next year.
Meanwhile, the United States Treasury Secretary Mrs. Janet Yellen has informed President Ranil Wickremesinghe that her country would extend support for the process of restructuring debt of Sri Lanka. Well, she has further stated that in order to resolve the economic crisis faced by Sri Lanka, assistance of the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank and the U.S. financial institutions will be extended according to the financial regulations. The U.S. Treasury acknowledges the proposal of the President of Sri Lanka, which is a platform of coordination for the official bilateral debtors of Sri Lanka. The Secretary also expresses the willingness of the U.S. to expedite the process of financial certification based on its principles with the other members of the Paris Club. The Treasury of the United States has pledged to liaise continuously with the World Bank, the ADB and other state institutions with the objective of helping the Sri Lankan public. The Treasury Secretary has added that the U.S. has extended mutual cooperation to the people of Sri Lanka through the provision of food vouchers to pregnant women, new mothers and also in the enhancement of food production with the handing over of fertilizer and cash to the small and medium-scale farmers. The U.S. Treasury Department also expresses its appreciation over the decision of the Sri Lankan government to receive the assistance of the International Monetary Fund.
Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira says measures are underway to speedily release funds from the two state banks for the purchasing of paddy. The minister said in Parliament today that some amount has already been paid to the farmers. Parliamentarian Rohan Bandara said that speedy and most reasonable response to be given to the farmers who received a lower harvest is to hand over a higher price for the produce. The parliamentarian has questioned as to what measures taken by the minister in this regard. He has also wanted to know whether attempts are to be made to bring down the price of rice to the market by importing rice. Parliamentarian Mahindanand Alutgamage said that they have already presented in writing not to import rice. A request has also been made to impose a tax of imports. He added that amid severe difficulties, paddy farmers have cultivated 512,000 hectares of land. Through a cabinet paper, a request has been made to release 2 billion rupees to two state banks to engage in paddy purchasing process. He added that regretfully the full amount has not been yet received.
Meanwhile, an agreement has been reached at the party leaders' meeting today to set up a national council through participation of all party leaders in parliament. The council is comprised of 37 members. The party leaders at the meeting have also agreed to present the relevant proposal to parliament without delay. Ranil Jayawardena has made history by becoming the first ever individual of Sri Lankan origin to be appointed as a cabinet minister in the British government. Ranil Jayawardena has been appointed as the Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs in the first cabinet of the new British Prime Minister Liz Truss. Jayawardena, who replaces George Ostis, entered the House of Commons as MP for North East Hampshire in 2015. He previously served as Minister for International Trade from May 2020 to September 2022, working for Liz Truss before she became Foreign Secretary. Prior to entering the House of Commons, Ranil Jayawardena worked at Lloyds Bank and was also a councillor in Hampshire. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that the necessary program to strengthen the economy by incorporating all groups from the Gram Seva division level has commenced.
The Prime Minister has made these observations at the inaugural discussions to enlighten government officials on the speedy empowerment of Gram and Niladhari divisions regarded as the centre of economic rejuvenation. It has also been decided at the discussions held at the Ministry of Home Affairs today that the national program would cover all Gram Niladhari divisions with the objective of guaranteeing national food security in the country. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that monies are being wasted in thousands of rupees due to the improper management. The highest 300 divisional secretariat divisions will be made the centre of rural economic revival. The President, headed by the government, will give leadership to the program. Prominence should be given to the daily maintenance of departments. The economic targets of many state corporations have not yet been fulfilled. The Prime Minister further said that the participation of rural community is essential to find a solution to the food problem.
The attention of the Ministry of Power and Energy has been focused on the increasing of fuel quota to several selected fields. Accordingly, provision of fuel to several selected government and private institutions will take place during this week. This was decided upon at a progress evaluation meeting of the QR system. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara, in a Twitter message, has disclosed facts pertaining to increasing of fuel quota, the fuel code on the tourism fuel permit and the code for fuel requirements for purposes other than motor vehicles are to be implemented from the coming week. A technical committee meeting on revising charges on purchasing electricity from solar panels has met today. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara has presided over the event. The meeting has discussed on projects that would facilitate power generation at a minimum cost. Director of Irrigation SPC Sugeshwara has told media that the hydropower electricity generating stations have reached peak capacity. Director of Irrigation, SPC Sugeshwar, said that a substantial growth in the water levels in the reservoirs of the hydropower generating stations has been shown. The Masakale and the Kasaroi reservoirs, which are the upper catchment areas of the Kalani River, have reached the peak level. The Victoria Reservoir is filled with 92% of the capacity and the Kotmale Reservoir of 85% of the capacity. The Bowanthana Reservoir is filled with 72% of the volume. The positive aspect of the current rainfall is that it was able to fill the water levels in the reservoirs generating hydropower. The water levels in the lower Kalani River area are reported to be receding.
ගලුවේ පහත්දුම් ප්‍රදේශවල රැඳී පවතින ජලය අද දිනය තුලත් තවදුරටත් රැඳී පවතින ඇති බව සඳහන් කරන්න කැමතියි. කළු ගඟේ කුඩා ගඟ දෙපස පහත්දුම් ප්‍රදේශවල පවතින සුළු ගඟ වතුර තත්ත්වය අද දිනය පුරාමත් පවතින ඇති බව සඳහන් කරන්න කැමතියි. මේ ප්‍රදේශවල මහ ජනතාව අවධානයෙන් පසුවීම ඉතා වැදගත් බව සඳහන් කරන්න කැමතියි.
The Nulay District Disaster Management Unit says that the sluice gates of the Lakshapana and Canyon reservoirs continue to remain open. 3 sluice gates of each reservoir have been opened. As a result, the water level in the Kalani River has gone up. The Department of Meteorology says that the threatening meteorological condition in the maritime zone beyond the shores from Puttalam to Pothuwil via Colombo and Galle has been dissipated.
And meanwhile, the Ministry of Health has challenged a statement made by the UNICEF of child malnutrition in Sri Lanka, and the Secretary to the Ministry has rejected the statement made by the UNICEF. UNICEF recently made an assessment of the child malnutrition in Sri Lanka and issued an alarming statement paying more attention on the plight of the children in connection with the present economic crisis. However, at a press briefing yesterday, the press briefing, the Ministry of Health has categorically rejected the UNICEF statement. The Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Janaka Sri Chandragupta, said that are not satisfied with the UNICEF methodology of using data related to the child malnutrition in Sri Lanka. He further said that there are no evidence of skinny children in Sri Lanka like in some famine-stricken countries in Africa. The Nana Mihira is an educational treatment which extends a massive helping hand to the students preparing for the Grade 5 scholarship examination. The national television has been engaged for many years in the handing over of knowledge to the students, not only via the TV but also through the conducting of seminars of the school level. The Nana Mihira Central Province seminar was conducted at the Vikramabahu National School in Gampala today with the participation of 1,500 students.
The Department of Registrar General says that certified copies of the records on birth, marriage and death being issued to the general public under the certification of the department do not become invalidated after a period of 6 months. The certified copies remain valid over any period. Registrar General's Department adds that the Ministries of Education and Foreign Affairs as well as the Departments of Immigration and Registration of Persons have been officially enlightened in this regard. The department informs that therefore there is no need to have a fresh copy if there is a clear certified copy. It also points out that, however, a new revised copy needs to be presented in the event when any revision has been carried out in the records of birth, marriage and death. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval for the payment of pension gratuity to government servants, which has been delayed over a long period.
The proposal in this regard was submitted to the Cabinet by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Approval has been granted for the Treasury to hand over the necessary funds for the payment of pensions gratuity relating to the year 2021, the Department of Pensions prior to the next October. Approval has also been granted to hand over necessary funds for the payment of pension gratuity for the year 2022 to the Department of Pensions within a period of 6 months. A communique issued by the Minister of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government says Cabinet approval has also been granted for the appointment of a 6-member committee to study and prepare a set of proposals for the sustainable maintenance of the procedure related to the payment of gratuities.
The work titled Seven Moons of Mali Almeida, compiled by Sri Lankan literary personal Shehan Karunatilaka, has been recommended for the Booker Prize Award for the year 2022. The novel Chinaman, authored by him, has also been subjected to the attention of literary critics worldwide. The Booker Awards presentation is one of the prominent literary awards festivals of the world. It was originated in the United Kingdom in 1969. Works of 13 world-acclaimed novelists has been recommended for this year's event. Shehan Karunatilaka was born in Galle and received higher education in New Zealand. He has resided in the cities of London, Amsterdam and Singapore. His initial creation, the novel titled Painter, was recommended for the Gratian Award. Karunatilaka was also felicitated with the award for the best novel in the Asian region by the Commonwealth. The winner of the Booker Prize will be decided upon the 17th of next month. Only the novels published in the English language in the United Kingdom and Ireland are being considered for the Booker Prize.
And more local news items in brief. The Development Lotteries Board has introduced a special lottery by the name of Valampuri exclusively for the people in the North and East. It was released to the market recently under the direction of the Chairman and the Chief Executive Officer of the DLB, Ajit Gunaratne Naragala. The Valampuri lottery offers cash prizes up to 2 million rupees. In the event of matching of 3 numbers and a lagna, a prize of 2 million rupees is being handed over. In the event of matching only the 3 numbers, the winning prize is 100,000 rupees. When 2 numbers are matched, a prize of 500 rupees is been delivered. The reward of matching 1 number and a lagna is 50 rupees. A special Valampuri lottery drawn is scheduled to be conducted on the 28th of next month. A program has commenced to sell gems and jewellery according to the online system to the foreign buyers upon appropriate assessment of the item. The second stage of the program has been commenced in Galle yesterday under the direction of Minister Ramesh Patrana. Only gems and jewellery items of the value of less than $3,000 are being exported via online. The bronze medal for the West Web Group in the state sector was presented to the official website of the Sri Lanka Army, www.army.lk. The 12th event of the Best Web LK 2022 tournament has been organized recently. Stay tuned for international news after this break. Welcome back with international news and an update from Netherlands with regard to the inflation. The Dutch Central Bureau of Statistics reported that inflation in the Netherlands rose to another record high of 12% in the August from 10.3% in July.
Energy prices remain the main driving force behind this growth, but the rising costs of groceries and housing costs also emerged as key contributors. Energy was 151% more expensive in August than in the same month 1 year earlier. In July, this figure was 108%. The high inflation rate leads to uncertainty about the future of the Dutch economy. Professor Olaf van Leer, head of the Department of Economics at Leiden University. Current inflation is largely driven by energy prices, which are mainly dependent on the cause of the conflict in Ukraine and on the developments in the gas market, Van Leon said.
Terima Kutumi Pantan.
Come back with your sports update, and the Sri Lanka netball team has been successful in winning the second round of matches of the Asian Netball Tournament Championship by beating the Malaysian team.
Sri Lanka has won the first match in the second round of the tournament in Singapore. Both teams were evenly poised and Malaysia took the lead 15-13 at the end of the first quarter. However, in the second quarter, Sri Lankan team has added 17 more points to the 15 points secured by Malaysia. Accordingly, the first half of the match ended with both teams receiving 30 points. The Sri Lankan players have shown greater skills in the third quarter and the final result was 45-38 in Sri Lanka's favour. In a closely contested encounter, the Sri Lankan team has managed to secure a victory of 55-53. The Sri Lankan team is scheduled to compete with the Singapore team today. The Sri Lankan competitors who took part in the FBB Asian Bodybuilding Tournament have returned to the island. The 53rd event was attended by 1,200 players from 35 countries in Kazakhstan. Sri Lanka has received a silver and a bronze medal. Representatives of the Sri Lanka Bodybuilding Association were present at the airport to welcome the team.
Terima Kutumi Pantan.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita signing off with Vidhi. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.
Through the covers.
बातों को तेरी हम भुला ना सके, होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके। दिल में है जिंदा हर घड़ी तू कहीं, होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके। दिल में है जिंदा हर घड़ी तू कहीं, होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके। कितनी चाहत है दिल में तू जाने ना, कैसे दिल को समझाए दिल माने ना। बातों को तेरी हम भुला ना सके, होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके। दिल में है जिंदा हर घड़ी तू कहीं, होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके। मेरी तमन्नाओं का एहसास तुम, मैं कहीं भी रहूं मेरे आस पास तुम। खुदा जाने खुदा जाने खुदा जाने, एक पल भी तुमसे दूर जा ना सके। होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके। बातों को तेरी हम भुला ना सके। होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके। मेरी तमन्नाओं का एहसास तुम, मैं कहीं भी रहूं मेरे आस पास तुम। खुदा जाने खुदा जाने खुदा जाने, एक पल भी तुमसे दूर जा ना सके। होके जुदा हम ना जुदा हो सके।